beautiful town and our beautiful downtown. I'm not serving steamed kale and smoothies just because it's plant-based. Don't get nervous. It's homemade pasta, innovative appetizers, some flatbreads, vegetable dishes that might surprise you. Nobody will leave the restaurant hungry, I assure you. We also have plans for an innovative, well-rounded wine list, craft cocktails, non-alcoholic cocktails. And we've selected the East Bay Food Pantry as our local charity. We're already planning some events to support the food pantry. And I'm very conscious of a liquor license and the responsibility that comes with that, and respectfully ask for your approval of the transfer and these other licenses tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to speak in favor? Is there anyone else to speak in favor? Is there anyone else to speak in favor? Is there anyone to speak against? Is there anyone to speak against? Is there anyone to speak against?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to close the public hearing. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item of business is C1, and this is ordinance 2022-2, Chapter 16 to motor vehicles and traffic. And this is to amend the parking on Rock Street, Shaw's Lane, and Bryan Avenue. This is second reading for adoption.
Motion to approve the second reading for adoption.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item of business is C2. This is ordinance 2022-3, Chapter 16 of motor vehicles and traffic. And this is to amend the parking on St. Elizabeth Street. This is second reading for adoption.
I move that we approve the ordinance.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Mary to approve. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item of business is C3. This is ordinance 2022-4, Chapter 11 to fees and charges for beach passes and one-day season. This is for student and parents of the Bristol Warren Regional School District, and this is first reading for adoption.
So
So-
we have, no, actually, we'll take a motion, and I know that Tim Shaw is going to give us some clarity. So
Okay, move that to be considered first reading.
Second.
there's a motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim. This constitutes first reading and discussion. Tim,
Good evening.
good evening.
So last year on July 6th, the Parks and Recreation Department received a directive from Administrator Contenti. And his directive was to allow families, whether they were from Bristol or Warren, specifically Warren, with students in the Bristol Warren Regional School District, to have access to the season pass or the daily pass rates that we have for Bristol residents. So as soon as it stopped raining in July, we had this available, and the intent of his directive, I'll read right from it here, was to encourage healthy outdoor activities during the summer for the students of the Bristol Warren Regional School District. And we're looking to continue that. We did, over the last 2 years, approximately 300 season passes. About 50% of them are senior or veterans that we do the free pass for. And for the Bristol residents, it's $20. So when we got this going in July last year, we had 16 Warren families with confirmation. They'll show us, a lot of times parents will have the Aspen on their phone so they can show us the report cards. We ask them to show proof that they have a child in the school district. So it went well, it was well received. I know the administrator is looking to continue that. After the summer and the fall, the Warren Parks and Recreation Director had caught wind that we were doing this, and Tara Thibodeau got in touch with me on some details. And she's gone, I think, through the town of Warren, and they are going to reciprocate. So they have exactly the same fee structure we have now. So for a Bristol resident or a Warren resident with a child in the school district, it's $5 during a weekday, $10 on a weekend, or they can get a season pass from Memorial Day to Labor Day for $20.
So Tim, an obvious question from this council is, when we look at this sheet, Saturdays and Sundays were crossed off and put in, I'm sorry, so student of Bristol and parent of Bristol were $5 and they're 10. Was that just an error in?
It may be,
Okay.
it may be.
Okay, all right. So it was in the past. So this is not an increase on the weekends.
It is
right?
not.
So this is just a continuation of what we've already done.
Exactly. It's a continuation in offering this to Warren families with students in our district.
And Bristol families too, right?
Oh, of course,
Yeah.
but it's adding the Warren families.
They always have.
Yeah.
Any other discussion?
I think it's nice that you're including Warren families and Bristol families, and it's a beautiful beach. So,
It is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's nice to see that they reciprocating it.
Agreed.
That's what I was gonna ask. Yeah, that's awesome.
Anything else? Okay, all in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you for the clarity too.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is D1, and this is the licensing for Peter Caravelli, 12 Catering LLC, doing business as Folio, 31 State Street. Request for the Class BV liquor license transfer from Christopher Clayla from Toasted Bun.
Based on all the positive recommendations, make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Mary. To
What were you having
approve.
here?
This discussion, normally I would say this is your opportunity for a 30-second commercial. You kind of did a great job with that right in the beginning, but
Yeah.
honestly, I'll give you another opportunity if you want it. And if not, we can move forward. Okay, perfect. All right. So hearing no other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Wish you the best.
Thank you very much.
Yes, good luck. Should we just bring the other stuff forward?
Wish him the best a couple more times. He's on here.
That's what I
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think he needs some
Oh,
Italy.
Yeah. The next item on the agenda is D2, and this is Peter Caravelli, 12 Catering LLC, doing business as Folia, and this is the request for vitrilling license.
Based on all the positive recommendations, make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And item D3 is also Peter Caravelli, 12 Catering LLC, doing business as Folia on 31 State Street, and this is the request for the sidewalk use license and the sidewalk alcohol service license.
Based on the positive recommendations, make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, second by Mary. Discussion? Chief?
Mr. Chairman, the police department had some recommendations, if you wanted to approve that with some of the police department recommendations on number of tables, location of those particular tables, and some time from the memo from Lieutenant Wozni. Lieutenant Wozni and Code Officer Ray Falcoa went to that location and met with the applicant. And I believe that they worked out a plan where they reduced the number of tables that were going to go outside, to one on each side of the door, with 3 chairs at each table. And I just wanted to see if your recommendation would include those. And I believe the applicant was in agreement with the police department and the code compliance officer.
Any discussion? Did you want to weigh in? You don't have to, so if you agree.
Only to say that we are in agreement in accordance with that recommendation.
Thank you for bringing up that point. Thank you. So, so that was, could you add that to
No,
your?
Tim.
Tim, I'm sorry,
Yes.
Tim, could you add that to your motion or amend your motion if you agree?
I do. So moved.
Okay, is there a second by Mary?
Second, yes.
Okay, great. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now, congratulations.
It's official. Good luck.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, the next item on the agenda is D4, and this is Susan Arona for the Bristol 4th of July Committee. This is the request for a one-day dancing and entertainment license for the block party, dance party on June 18, 2022.
I make a motion that we approve it based on the recommendations.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to approve. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is Terry Swing from Nature's in Rock Shop, 416 Medicon Avenue. This is a request for holiday sales license, and I believe he is here in the audience.
Is Terry here?
Yes.
Sorry. Yes, we're presently looking to open up a second location. We are currently in Tiverton, Rhode Island. We've been in business for 15 years. And we're looking forward to operating our business on Medicon Avenue.
Terry, what is your business?
Nature's Rock Shop is a rock mineral crystal fossil shop. We sell Native American items. And My wife is taught in CCRI as a professor in geology. She teaches geology at the store, has her past students come in and check and talk to her all the time.
That was a wonderful 30-second commercial.
Thank you.
What's this council's pleasure?
I make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is D6. This is Ann Mata from the Bristol 4th of July Committee. This is the request for the mobile food truck establishment event permit for the outdoor concerts from June 19th to July 2nd.
Make a motion that we approve with the recommendations and obviously, being cautious with all of the recommendations, in particular, since they're going to be at the Independence Park.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to approve. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And I'd just like to take a moment and point out how many things were just on here for the 4th of July, how much effort and energy goes in by the committee to make such a great event. So it's outstanding. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is D7, and this is Edward Turnbull for Custom Catering Inc., doing business as 195 Franklin Street. And this is a request for transfer of the Class BV liquor license to David Farabend for the Franklin LLC. And this is new ownership, and this is called for public hearing on May 11th.
Motion to call for a public hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to call for public hearing on May 11th. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
I think they were waiting to
Were they?
Speak, yes,
Yeah,
the back here.
The new owners and the former owners.
Well, you know what we'll do is thank you for coming. We have the public hearing on the 11th. Please be ready for a 30-second commercial. We kind of got a thing going with that. So, yes. Yeah. So come on in back in front of us since we voted for it, and that would be the appropriate time to speak in favor of it. So
And
Thank you.
welcome. Yeah.
Definitely welcome. Unfortunately, I know you're probably all excited. Okay, we're going to deal with this tonight, but that's the process, unfortunately. Okay. But we look forward to seeing you again.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, the next item on the agenda is D8. This is Caroline Almonte from the Our Lady of Mount Carmel School, 127 State Street. This is a petition for a bingo license on May 13th, 2022.
Based on all the positive recommendations, make a motion to approve.
Second.
motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is D9, and we have Steve Cavalieri from the Cup Defenders at 230 Wood Street. This is a request for a one-day dancing and entertainment license for a fundraiser on August 13th, 2022. I believe Steve is here.
Is Steve here? Welcome. State your name and address for the record.
Steve Cavalieri, 45 Congregational Street, Bristol.
Welcome. So you have a request for this council for a one-day dancing and entertainment license on August 13th?
Yeah, what it is, we're trying to raise funds for building improvements. We're in the process in the future of putting a pavilion on the property. It's gonna take a lot of fundraising to get there. But it's gonna be an outdoor band from 4 to 8 in the afternoon. It's a ticketed event, so it'll be outside on the property.
Excellent. Okay. Council?
Chief, I noticed that you have a positive recommendation. Any concerns? This is outdoors, combination of parking and the activity outdoor.
Lieutenant Wozni did speak to the petitioner, and there was an agreement that there would be a maximum of 150 tickets that would be sold to the outside venue. There's a live band. It'll also include some snow fencing so that, the folks would wander off the property with alcohol. And the other request was that any of the bartenders that work outside be tip certified as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Cavalieri, this sounds very familiar to an event you had last year, Molly Palooza.
Oh, yes, my
yeah.
Palooza is a very successful event for the Almost Home Rescue for the dogs.
Nice.
It's good that you're putting some raising money for improving the building. That's great.
That's great.
What's this council's pleasure?
Make a
Based-
motion. Go ahead, make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Mary to approve. Is there any other discussion?
Hope it's a successful event. Hope you have a good time.
All right, thank you very much.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody else in favor?
Aye.
I'm in favor.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Great. That was unanimous. Congratulations. Good luck.
Yes. Take care now.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is E1, and this is the dog kennel license renewals for 2022, 2023.
Motion to approve as stated.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Is there any discussion? We lost half our audience. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mr. Chairman and members of the council,
Skipping
the
up.
next item of business is F1. This is Henry Santos of 484 Thames Street. This is a request for the accessible parking space. This is second reading for adoption.
I make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to approve. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is F2. This is Susan Narone from the Bristol 4th of July Committee. This is a request for permission to use the town common basketball courts for the annual block party dance party on June 18, 2022.
Based on all the positive recommendations, make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Mary to approve. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, the next item on the agenda is a memo for myself, the clerk, in regards to removal of accessible parking space on 42 Mount Hope Avenue. This is first reading.
Can we accept that from the clerk? Just kidding.
I must have thought I was on here. Oh my goodness, that's me. So I did get a call saying that the gentleman who had petitioned for that originally had since passed away, and so nobody was using it. Nobody's been using it for over a year now, so I thought it was.
Thank you for putting it on the agenda.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Glad to see that we open up another parking spot.
Right.
You know,
Right.
we've been getting just the opposite, so. Definitely make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Mary to approve. And I echo my colleagues. Thank you for bringing the resident who brought it to the clerk's attention and to ours. We are absolutely amenable to these parking spaces and also appreciate when they're no longer needed so we can remove them. So is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is Evelyn Braun of 118 Constitution Street. This is a request for the no parking space on Cook Street. Evelyn's here. Video, but I don't know that I'm gonna be able to get it.
A little technically crunchy here this evening, so bear with us.
Good word, Chairman. Crunchy.
So what the clerk is setting up is a newer policy. It's kind of a newer policy for the council through the police department, is that when we get a request like yours, then the police department will go out and they've actually videoed it. So because it makes it so much easier to understand instead of drawings on it, so we can see firsthand what was experienced.
Can I talk yet or no, not yet? You have to wait till.
Oh, well, why not? Let's use the time wisely, please.
Only because I read the recommendations and we have two cars, not just one. And people are parking behind my driveway as opposed to where they're supposed to be. That's the problem.
So I'm going to ask her to play it. Madam
Okay.
Clerk, if you wouldn't mind. You can hear the birds in the background. Who's driving, Chief? You know, they did a great job. I gotta tell you.
Who's driving?
It's outstanding. Please continue.
So we have two cars, not just one. So when someone comes in tight and they were on there, they park on both sides and they park behind my driveway. I did bring a picture that when I bought the house, we've only had the house for a little over 2 years and we only moved in this December. So, and I also noted in the response that there's been no complaints, but the house has been empty for most of the time. So I do have a picture. We did have it blocked off, and when the street was repaved, it wasn't redone.
Yes, in fact, that's been an ongoing kind of, I guess you could call it an improvement or matching reality with ordinance and vice versa. We've cleaned up other streets, including this, and when we repaved it, even though the block was there, it was actually wasn't followed up with an ordinance. So the block was painted there, but there was nothing legally behind it if someone were parked there to ticket them. So this has happened in other parts of town that we've cleaned up. But Chief, if you could speak to, if you don't mind, to that, maybe a little bit clearer than I just did.
Yeah, so as the council know, we're dealing with parking block situations, which is very popular in a seaside type community like Newport in the east side of Providence. And he'd reached out to Newport and had garnered their traffic department had researched extensively on how to address these particular issues. So we tried to take our biggest vehicle, which is a full-size Tahoe vehicle, and park it behind the driveway in an attempt to replicate what the homeowner would go through. And then we pull in a police vehicle and we have the officer back out. And in Newport, and we have found if it takes more than 3 attempts, generally we will approve the homeowner's request that a parking block be installed, or a recommendation to the council that it be approved. But the applicant is correct. I am told that when they did purchase the home, there was a previous parking block at that location. So you saw the video, Lieutenant Wozni did tell me it was 2 turns by the officer that was driving a car with a full-size SUV behind the driveway. Again, you can see, I'm not saying that it's an easy driveway to get out of. The only positive side is I think it's one way, so you're not competing with both sides of traffic. But again, the homeowner is correct. It does require a few turns and it is complex to pull out, but not impossible.
Mr. Chairman, I have a quick question because I think this begs a question because there's all the other spots on that street that have the no parking blocks. And one of the things that kind of came to my mind when I was thinking about this today was how many maneuverable driveways do we have by those no parking spots in town, do you think? I mean, I'm not asking you to predict. It might be more of a rhetorical question than anything else, but I mean, do we?
A lot of challenges in Bristol with parking. Certainly, you know, some of the streets, from what I'm told, began as horse trails and paved over, and, you know, a lot of residents, you know, tight, big homes on smaller lots in that particular district. So again, a challenge for the homeowner. But the police department has adopted a 3-turn recommendation, and I don't want to discount the applicant's reasoning for coming before the council. The other side to it is there was one there before. Again, was no ordinance, and it would require an ordinance from the council to meet current standards.
I must tell you, after seeing the video, that was a little bit more difficult than we've seen in other times. And
I would agree.
we've had other applicants. So let me just say this for the record. I like this policy. I like seeing not a drawing or a picture, but an actual video of what's happening. And so I want to continue with this full steam. In this instance, I would be amenable to potentially putting a no parking block back there, I guess, quote, quote. I know it was an ordinance, but that looked really tight to me. I don't know what my colleagues think.
I walked the street. I walked the street today, and interesting enough, that's the only driveway that would not have, you know, a sign across the way. Or however, with that being said, all other driveways happen to have a crossover driveway, which allows for them to, you know, so you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is the only driveway that actually does not have some
Another
sort of
one to
no
back
parking
into.
to back
Got it.
into,
Okay.
but all others do. You know, interesting enough, I took a little time to walk it through this morning, and yes.
And Chief, I was watching the video and it looks like the car on the far right was able to back out, but the applicant is actually saying there's 2 cars. And I think that's key because that inner car, I wonder Yeah, I think you're really trying to drive the point home that when that in car that's closest in can't really get out. And that's why, I really think your parking box would be, it's a tight situation here. So,
Any other input? I would imagine if it sounds like the council wants to go that direction, it would
Yeah.
be a motion to refer to the administrator, the chief, and ultimately the solicitor to write an ordinance.
so moved.
There was a second down there already?
Nope, there was a motion.
Second.
Okay, all right. Motion made by Tim, seconded by Aaron to approve referring over to the administrator, the police chief, and ultimately the solicitor to create an ordinance. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is G1A. This is the Capital Projects Commission. There's 2 terms to expire May 2027. We have John Mancuso of 78 Mulberry, who is not looking to seek reappointment. And then we have Susan Rabideau with interest in reappointment, Myra Page with interest in appointment, and Chuck McDonough with interest in appointment.
Council?
We should,
Motion.
there's 2 positions, am I right?
There's 2 positions.
So I think we should reappoint Susan Rabideau to her position and then interview the others for the open position.
And Mary, if I could just add that we'd accept John's resignation with a letter of thanks.
Oh, yes, of course, thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Tim's got it.
Okay, so we have a motion made by Mary, seconded by Tim. Letter of thanks to John for his time on the board, and then also to set up interviews for the open position, and then ultimately, of course, to reappoint Susan Rabideau. Is there any other discussion?
Perfect.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is G2. This is the planning board. This is 2 terms set to expire April 2025. We have Armin Bellotti with interest in reappointment. We have Stephen Katz also with interest in reappointment. And we also have Myra Page, 423 Hope Street, with interest in appointment.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we reappoint Armin and Steve, and Myra is already included on the interviews, in the upper part, so.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to reappoint Armin and Stephen. Is there any other, I'm sorry, and then Myra were mentioned that she was previously mentioned as an interview candidate.
Correct. Yeah.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, we have the Police Pension Board of Trustees. This is 1 term to expire April 2025, and Michael Narsik is not looking to be reappointed.
Motion to accept Michael's resignation with a letter of thanks.
And
And to,
re-advertise.
and we go out to advertise
And when
for
we,
this opening.
Maybe we could set them up at the same time, these
Have one interview time
interviews,
for
see-
multiple
yeah,
board
because
openings?
like, one of the people we would be interviewing has a big investment background.
I like that idea. think
I do too, Mary.
We can
Yeah.
Do it at
put it
the
all in
same
one
time.
evening.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So we had a motion to accept Michael's resignation with a letter of thanks and also to advertise and to set up interviews. I'm sorry, who seconded that? Did anybody?
I'll second it.
All right, so Tim made the
Thank
motion,
you.
Tony seconded it. Any other
You did.
discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item of business is H1. This is Charles Galligan of 83 Fail Street. This was request for council consideration in support of a resolution. We did receive an email from Mr. Galligan saying that he was unable to make it here due to a death, and he's asking to be continued to June 1st.
You need a motion to do that?
Yeah, we didn't
So-
motion.
so
to
moved.
continue.
Motion to continue to the
So
June
Mary
1st
made-
meeting.
Mary
Oh,
made the
sorry.
motion and Tim, you're going to second it. It sounds
Second,
like.
correct. Yep,
So we
sorry.
will We will continue this to June 1st.
Yeah, June 1st meeting.
June 1st. Excellent. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item of business is new business, and this is the Executive Director of the Rhode Island Bridge Turnpike Authority with a presentation relating to the needs and the repairs to the Mount Hope Bridge.
Welcome. So we spoke earlier today on the phone and you said, what time do you think I'll be up? And I said, I don't know, I'd say about 7:45.
How is that for that right there?
We
Yeah.
even started 10 minutes late.
Thank you, thank you. And-
Welcome.
And we would, if you had kept us here longer, we would have stayed because this is very important to us. So I'd like to say good evening and thank you. My name is Lori Karen Silvera. I'm the Executive Director of the Rhode Island Turnpike and Bridge Authority. I know that during COVID, I haven't, it was not possible to get out and meet everyone, although I did try and reach out, and the town of Bristol has been very supportive of us and we appreciate that. With me tonight, I have right behind me is Eric Seabury. He's the Director of Engineering at the Rhode Island Turnpike and Bridge Authority, and Jeff Goulart, who is the Chief Financial Officer of the Turnpike and Bridge Authority. We're here because we are we have the duty to care and be the caregivers and keepers of the Mount Hope Bridge. As you know, the Turnpike and Bridge Authority is responsible for 4 major bridge structures: the Mount Hope Bridge, the Pell Bridge, the Jamestown Verrazano Bridge, and the Sakonnet River Bridge. In addition, a lesser known fact is that we have 10 much smaller bridges that we're responsible for also, and all of the roads that connect all of that. So that's our jurisdiction. We take our responsibilities very, very seriously. As you know, as one of the host communities, the Mount Hope Bridge is an almost 93-year-old bridge, a suspension bridge. As my Director of Engineering will always tell me, that the parts of a suspension bridge are unforgiving. You must pay attention to every part of the critical components of a suspension bridge. We're here tonight because one of the components of the bridge is obviously the main cables, and we loved your picture over here of the bridge. The main cables, within those main cables, we've put up here a nice big poster that we put it on the front seats. But as you can see, inside the main cables are hundreds of, I think.
Wire strands.
Wire strands. I was looking at you for the hundreds part to see if it, but there are many fine wire strands that make up the main cables of the bridge. If a suspension bridge were built today, it would include a dehumidification system because of climate change, because of rising humidity levels. What we have is breakage and corrosion of those wires that make up the main cable. It's very important. We want to have the care and keeping of this bridge continue for a long time to come. It's very important that we get this work done soon. We had an inspection done about 5-6 years ago or so. That inspection indicated that there is obviously, as expected, that there's work that needs to be done. We are looking for the funding for that project. It's an expensive project. It's new technology, relatively new. Started in Japan, but now there are a number of bridges in the United States that now have dehumidification systems. If this were built today, it would be part of the design of the bridge. We're thinking it will cost probably up to about $35 million. That the dehumidification is going on right now on
You're
the
not
Georgia.
asking for this council for that
The
fund.
good news is that I am not, only the CFO. But we're not here asking for money, but we are, and you have already given us your support for this project in the form of support for the RAISE grant. We have, we will not, we are very persistent and we will not stop until we get this project funded and underway. We have already gone out to bid for companies who would undertake the design of the project right away once we have the funding in place. We are, in terms of looking for the funding, we have submitted a RAISE grant proposal. We did that last year to US DOT, and they tell us that we came within a hair of getting that grant awarded to us last year. We just recently had a second opportunity after a debriefing with the US Department of Transportation, where they told us parts of your project were wonderful. We loved them. Don't change them. Here's where you need to fortify your proposal to us. We did that. We submitted it for April 14th. We expect to hear and any wood to knock on in the months to come. We hope to have some good news. If not, there's the mega program that the federal government is offering, where we would not only dehumidify the Mount Hope, but we would also dehumidify the Pell. And we would also, this would be music to your ears, we would focus our attention on the decking on the Mount Hope Bridge, as well as complete the decking on the Pell Bridge. So that's another opportunity for us. And there are other opportunities beyond that. As we all know, there's, infrastructure, thank goodness, is the focus of attention and the focus of funding, much needed funding. So we just wanted you to be aware, we thought we owed you a visit to come and say, hello, this is who we are, this is what we're doing. We hope to get another 50 to 75 years out of this bridge. I know that the George Washington Bridge is 3 years older in New York, 3 years older than the Mount Hope. And they, you know what? It's actually 3 years younger. It's 90, and they're saying they're going to get another 90 to 100 years out of it. Now they're doing other work on that bridge as well, but it's state of the art technology to run a dehumidification systems to keep these cables dry, because that's the problem. That's what's causing breakage and corrosion. So if you have any questions about the project, we're happy to address them.
Well, I don't have a question, but I think it would be important for you. I read in the articles that the bridge is safe. I think you should just reiterate that point.
Thank you, Mary. I was going there next.
Because people don't get worried about
Absolutely.
that.
And I'll leave that to my director of engineering, since obviously we rely on him, and we've visited and revisited that question. So
Sure. So yes, the bridge is safe. Absolutely. Every structure is designed with factors of safety on different elements. The factor of safety on the cable originally, when it was built, was calculated at 2.95. The last time we calculated one in 2016, it was 2.62. However, there's a deterioration curve at the top there. So you'll see that it starts to drop off exponentially. As you start to enter that deterioration curve, you say, well, 1929 to 2016, it took a long time to only drop 0.3-ish in the safety factor, but it starts to accelerate, because once that deterioration, it's like rust on a car. Once your car starts to rust, it goes quick, right? But it may not start for 10 years. So we need to arrest the deterioration. And what happens with the dehumidification system is it takes about anywhere, depending on the cable and the characteristics of the air voids inside, it can take either 6 months or up to 2 years to dehumidify to a level below 40%. At that point in time, it arrests any corrosion that's ongoing and it basically stops it in its tracks. So our goal is to stop the deterioration where the safety factor remains above the 2.15 threshold that Federal Highway sets. And at that point, the cable at that point is stable. And the cable, being one of the most difficult pieces to rehabilitate or replace, I mean, you can see why that's the most important part of the bridge. We can fix steel stringers all day long. We can paint the bridge 100 times. We can do deck replacements, things like that. But to replace the cables, you're in the hundreds of millions of dollars at the point where you actually say, do we have to just put up a whole new bridge? Because it, becomes a financial consideration, huge financial consideration. So $35 million, it's a lot of money. But to save a bridge like this and to save us from a replacement sooner than functionally necessary, it's really not a lot of money,
In the dehumidification system pumps that are going to be used on this. So how does it really stop the decay, or does it just completely slow it down? And how long does it lengthen the life of those cables?
It actually just about stops it in its tracks. It doesn't just, that nothing is infinite. So it'll probably deteriorate to a point once it's dehumidified that the rest of the structure would control how much longer it will last.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it literally will just stop it in its tracks.
That's great. So it's
Yeah.
key to the structure
It's
and
key.
the resiliency
And
of
it's
the
not just the
bridge.
cables, it would go down into the anchorages as well, because obviously the cable attaches down inside the anchorage. So the weakest point of a cable is wherever the most deterioration is.
Right.
I mean, you have to go from start to finish on it, you know?
If we didn't do the cable dehumidification, the next least drastic alternative is cable supplementation, then cable replacement, and then replacement of the entire bridge, which, as you all know, would take years and be quite the undertaking. And in today's dollars would be about $1 billion.
Wow. Wow.
It's important that we keep this.
Wow, you need to tell the
Beautiful
federal
bridge.
government that,
Of course.
and then we'll save a lot of money.
Chief had a question. Go ahead, Chief.
I would just ask that when construction or permitting begins, that you have a reach with the town administrator and in the police department. We do a very good job. We only have a couple of ways in and out of town. So
Sure.
we like to really educate the community on timelines for construction so that they can plan different routes. So we use social media and different outlets, message boards up, communication with the university, knowing that they have housing on the other side of the bridge over in Portsmouth. So I think that that's key, good communication on traffic control so that we could work together. But while you were here, I would like to ask you a question. I met you a little over a year ago, and we met with some of the police chiefs, and we discussed technology to improve police response to attempted suicides and suicides on the bridge. And I know we've reached out to your office to try to follow up on those conversations. You had some cutting edge technology that would identify if a car stopped on the bridge, if a person got outside of the car, and then there would be an audible speak to that person that help was on the way. There would be a notification with the camera system to identify that person, and so that our officers can get there. I'm going to be presenting to the council, hopefully at the next meeting or the June 1st meeting, about a camera program that I'm working on, that we have a grant with the Patton Foundation to combat or assist in aiding people that, utilize the bridges in the state for suicide. So I don't know if you have an update on where that technology stands, but my office is very interested in those updates.
Yeah, we do have an update. That system, all our employees have been trained on that system. It's fully operational on the Pell, and we are on the cusp of having it fully operational on the Mount Hope. Eric, if you want to add to that.
Yeah, so it was designed both for Newport and for the Mount Hope Bridge. We finished the full installation on Newport first. So our TMTs, which are the traffic management technicians that work in the operations section, they're there 24/7. We have at least one on 24/7 watching the cameras. There's a lot of cameras to watch, so they do what's called the camera tour every 15 minutes or so, and they make their rounds just to make sure they pick up everything. But they've been going through and doing a test of basically a testing and monitoring of the Newport system to make sure that it's picking up cars or stop vehicles or pedestrians appropriately. We're working through some bugs, quite frankly, but we're proceeding with the procurement of the last bit of material and equipment for Mount Hope. All of the fiber optic wiring is in place. All the mounts are in place. Some cameras need to be put on the mounts. We had to order some special poles to make it look like the light poles, some historic looking pieces. But that's the next phase of the project, is to get that finished. We're actively working towards that now. And
I'll
then
be
we'll-
happy to stay in touch with you, Chief, to let you know what the timetable is. It's my expectation that June 1, I will be having some good news for you, that indicating that this is operational to the extent that we were expecting.
Thank you. Those issues are extremely important to the town and to my
And to us.
administration of the police department. So thank you for remaining diligent on that.
This council would appreciate an update on that ultimately, when it is functioning. Thank you. Great points.
If I may speak to your comments about the traffic control, absolutely will be, out in front and open with everything. And I won't stand here and promise that there won't be traffic interruptions, but I can say we've done a full analysis of how this project, because for us, it's new. So we're with some of the consultants we're working with, they've worked on these around the country. Some have worked internationally on these systems. And they've got systems and methods perfected where we can do, say, off peak hours or at night, certain very short-term lane closures to be able to offload materials onto the project. But basically what they'll do is they'll put a scaffolding under the entire cable, and it has an enclosed fence so that the workers, once they get up in place on that, that's where they operate. So the traffic during the day, while they're working is traffic both directions. That, like, again, something may show up to the site, they have to offload it. They'll do like a rolling stop closure or they'll do something off peak if it's going to be a longer term. So we're going to try to minimize the traffic interruptions because we obviously know how sensitive it is on that bridge. So, absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to, I don't have many questions about the report or anything like that. I think they had answered a lot of the questions that I might have had. I just want to say thanks for being here today because I think it makes me feel a lot safer to know that you guys are thinking about these things. I drive across that bridge every day to get to URI campus, and it's hard to believe that 15 years ago, they had the 35W bridge collapse in Minneapolis, and I was in Minnesota at that time. So it makes me feel a lot better to know that we're really starting to take bridge safety as seriously as we are. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear that you're not asking to shut down the bridge as it was done previously. When I said a presentation, oh boy, this is serious stuff. No, but we certainly appreciate you being before us and keeping us informed,
Thank you.
of what's happening. So we appreciate that very much and your efforts as well to keep the bridge safe.
Thank you. We appreciate the town's support. I reached out as we were preparing the raised grant that we submitted a few weeks ago and got tremendous support, and pointing out some of the critical issues, why the bridge is so important to the people of Bristol, to the people of Portsmouth, the EMS runs that are done, all of the critical services, whether it's education, health services, all of the things that for which you absolutely need that bridge, including the smaller islands as well. So Prudence Island and some of the other. So we hope that this time we've convinced the federal government that we're deserving, and we hope to have some good news.
Let's hope so.
Let's hope so.
Thank you.
Can I also just say one quick thing? I mean, I always kind of, even though we're stuck in traffic a lot of times, I mean, I always commend the bridge in Turnpike Authority because you guys are always out there upkeeping this bridge. And I think that is very commendable, especially when we hear all the problems that we've had with some of the highway bridges and other things in this state, that it seems like Mount Hope and I don't go over Pell as much, but that they're always being kept up, whether it's painting or, whatever. So I think we all appreciate that.
Thank you. We love hearing it. Thank you. It's our pleasure.
We just need a motion to receive and file.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to receive and file. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. He's here. I know, he's here. He can hear it. There he is.
Just checking in. Yes, I am here, and anytime you need the usual Mr. Solicitor, and I'll pop back in.
Listening.
I just thought it didn't look. It kind of was a little distracting having me so large there behind you.
It's too easy. Thank you. Too much fun. Right? So,
Wow.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is I2, and this is the seasonal outdoor seating on State Street. There's a draft ordinance to the street sidewalks and other public places.
Gentlemen. So this is in front of the council. This is a proposed ordinance. If this council, typically we wouldn't have an ordinance in front of us. We would have discussion about this and refer to the solicitor. But the solicitor drafted a draft ordinance in front of us. And gentlemen, if you could state your names and addresses for the record and share your thoughts.
Zach Rivers, 1 State Street. Brian Travers, 474 Hope Street.
Welcome both of you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Chairman of the council, this, I believe, is in follow-up to our original petition, October 2020. We originally petitioned this, and then we were just waiting on, I believe, this draft ordinance from the town solicitor. We are finally following up on it. We're really excited and hoping that we can continue what we've done down there the last 2 summers. It definitely was great for business. I can tell from every business owner I've talked to in that area that it definitely benefited them. I talked to Greg from Bristol House today and just briefly got to talk to Peter. I'm glad to meet him. He's taking over Statesman. And then, of course, Elsa from Bar 31, and everyone's still on board because this was a while ago. Everyone's excited. Really just hoping to see this come to fruition on a seasonal basis. We're only looking for it, as in the ordinance, May through October, and then returning the parking spots in the winter and continuing in that fashion. But the number one question I've been asked so far this spring is, when is the outdoor seating coming back? So from a customer perspective and a business, and what we really saw downtown was last 2 summers was a vibe in that area. It really created a vibe, people walking around, moving around. I know the 2 shops right there, I talked to quite a bit, even a couple shops up the street, and they've all said they definitely saw a lot more foot traffic and people coming through the doors. So in general, we thought it was great for business. I think the model worked pretty well, and we're just really hoping to continue it seasonally.
Well, I'll speak for myself. I love it. And I'm glad it's back. I'm glad that you've all petitioned for it to come back. I think it was really exciting to have that down there.
Sure.
And, I think it does bring people down, and it's sort of, cool to have that outdoor seating. I always personally find it kind of difficult, not so much on the wider streets, but in some streets that are more narrow, like to have that outdoor seating with cars right there. And I mean, I'm not a huge fan of that. Like if I had an option of where to sit, I wouldn't sit at one of those outdoor tables, personally. But I think this is a great plan, and I know that you want to do some fixing up of the area. And if I can either run by your place, or if I can get your email. I don't know if you are familiar with Time Blossom Cafe in Fall River. I haven't been there in a while, but the city of Fall River had done this really just in front of their building. So I don't know how much it costs or anything, but it was kind of a really nice, like leveling off, like wood structure. And I had taken some pictures of it. It may have been the first year of COVID that happened. And I could just either send it to you or stop by and show it to you.
Oh, that'd be great. We're definitely looking for options how to beautify it further, because I think everyone's willing to invest. I think in the past it was kind of, we did it in a week's notice last time, so
Right.
we appreciate it though.
Just the umbrellas and stuff, if it's just like uniform, I
Yeah.
think, would, add something to that area, but I think it's fantastic. I'm so happy that you're all back here for this.
Thank you. I'll get you my email address.
Yeah, or your cell phone, or I can text it either way.
Perfect.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I like this idea as well. I want to second what Councilwoman Perella had to say about this. It's nice to see people outside again, and we oftentimes ask you guys to come over if you guys have any ideas. If there's something that we can do to, bring more foot traffic downtown and things like that, we ask you to come to us. And I'm glad to see that, we have something here before us. And I just went to your State Street Fair event there the other day. I must have spent like $100 over there with my kids, and they enjoyed it. They were dancing around and everything like that. But it was really nice to be outside again and see people taking advantage of that area.
Yeah, I'm also in support of the outside dining. I think as we prepare for the marina to open up, we're gonna want to make sure that we're open. The restaurants have a few more tables available to receive those new customers that are coming into town. I agree with you. It also provides sort of a vibe downtown. I am curious about the facility, like the equipment and the design of how it's going to look like. Because I want to make sure that design really fits the real look of the downtown as well. It's not out of place. Like it kind of fits the architecture around those buildings, right? So I'd be interested to see that at some point. But I think this would be a great enhancement.
Well, excuse me. Like everybody else, I do enjoy the outdoor dining. The only thing I'm looking at we're looking at State Street. Is it fair? Can we extend this to the entire town, to all other businesses? Because obviously we here in the council represent the entire town, not one segment of the town. So I have some concerns. One is parking. We got rid of about approximately 15 parking spots. They will be gone. Right now, it's very difficult to get into a restaurant. If you don't call them the morning of, you're most likely not going to get a reservation for that evening. I understand when we did this, it was a time that was much needed to support the business, no question about that. And do I support outdoor dining? I think I said that before. Yes, I do. The other thing is putting the town on a hook also for liability to provide the blocks, as it's stated there, the barriers, you know. That is also a concern. I don't think the town should be on a hook for that. If the business are going to do it, if it ultimately gets approved, then I believe the business should pick up the tab on that one. It is.
Tony, I think it's in there. Yeah, it's $1 million
No, the
liability
barriers.
protection.
We're talking
No,
about.
no. Well, I'm sorry, Tony.
Okay.
You're speaking, you don't need to do it.
Right. Talking about letter F, okay. So I have some concerns. If we cannot extend this, and I know just recently, we actually entered into an agreement that somebody's paying big dollars, you know, for the area that they currently are using. So this raises some concerns with me, the fairness of this. It's not that I don't support the business, you bet I do, but we have to be fair right across the board. And, with this here, I'm not seeing that happening.
Okay. I love the outdoor dining. I'm going to hold my concerns until we typically talk about this at second reading. It's not a public hearing, but we tend to hold off on that. I know that there's a lot of people, including yourselves, that support it and want to certainly give them an opportunity to speak. I don't want to go down too far. I think, Tony, you actually hit a couple of my points. I'm concerned about the parking. I'm concerned that we just spent some time talking about a no parking blocks, right, on a particular road. So giving up 15 spots is a big concern of mine. When we bought we bought a parking lot on State Street. We had a lot of negotiations with the planning board to get that parking lot. So certainly parking is important. I just feel like I have to say this too, is that I love the outdoor dining. I don't necessarily love it there. I do like the sidewalks. I love bringing that outside. I like what was it? Somebody said vibe. Was that you, Tim? They called it a vibe. Everybody.
Yeah.
I like that feel of it. But I'm happy to hold back concerns and certainly have more dialogue till the second reading. So it sounds like we've got a majority to take a vote to refer to the solicitor. Actually, we have an ordinance, but we can, because we would have it on our next meeting for first reading, no dialogue at that one. And then the following one would be second reading where we would have dialogue. So what's this council's thoughts? Want to do that?
Yeah.
All right, is there a motion?
Motion to move this to the solicitor to draft a first reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll abstain.
So 4 in favor, 1 abstention. Great. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council. Okay. The next item on the agenda is I3, and this is Rogers Free Library Director Don Jenkins. This is a request for council consideration to support a resolution for the fiscal year 2023 state budget allocation for funding of the Bristol Public Libraries.
Welcome.
Yes.
Thank you. So I'm very fortunate to have inherited some nice state level advocacy. I bear no responsibility for this other than paying attention and doing some additional research should all of you have questions. The Rhode Island Library Association got the ball rolling with this, and Ed Garcia in Cranston and Cheryl Space in Providence have been extremely helpful. So most states have some formula that's used for the state to give aid to libraries. In Rhode Island, it happens to be 25% of the municipal appropriation. And then there's another calculation that gets more complex for 25% of any endowment. That has not been granted. So the 25% that we would receive of what the town gives to the library from the state has not been at the 25% level since 2009. I've done my best to understand how that's possible if it's stated in law. And from what I understand, there is a loophole. So what's been introduced into the legislation in Rhode Island is motion for that to always be 25% for the municipal appropriation. And I looked and it says 2023, but I know that that's their intention. So yeah, I've got more if there's any need, but it would basically be $23,000 for us for fiscal year 2023.
Council?
I'd rather have the $23,000 coming from the state than coming from the local town. And so if we can get that extra money, I think, we should.
So you support the resolution?
I do.
Do I take that as a motion?
Okay.
I will.
Yes.
All right.
I'll second.
All right, so there's a motion and a second to support the resolution. I must say, I don't like resolutions, but in this instance, if there is no downside, only an upside. So it seemed appropriate to take the next step. So we wish you luck. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, the next item on the agenda is item J1, and this is RFP 977. This is on-call engineering service. So this is, so bid 977 is just a request for qualification. There's no bid number, so these are just the people who submitted qualifications. We received 9 today for bid 977. We have one from Jade Corporation doing business as Studio Jade Architects Engineers. The second one was from GM2 Associates Incorporated. The third one was from GZA Environmental Inc. The fourth one was from Caputo and Wick Ltd. The fifth one was from Vanessa and Hagen Russlin Inc. The sixth one was from Crossman Engineering. The seventh one was from Environmental Strategies and Management Incorporated. The eighth one was from Park Corporation, and the ninth one was from Beta Group Inc.
Is this being referred to the administrator?
Motion to refer to the town administrator to act in the best interest of the town.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to refer to the administrators. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And the same would apply to RFP 978 for the on-call architectural services. We received 5 qualification proposals today. The first one was from Graham Hughes Inc. Architects doing business as GMI Architects. The second one was from Signal Works. The third one was from Brewster Thornton Group Architects LLP. The fourth one was from Jade Corporation doing business as Studio Jade Architects and Engineering. And the fifth one was from BL Companies New England Incorporated.
Motion to refer to the town administrator to act in the best interest of the town.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony, refer to the administrator. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I have a question. I know it says for on-call, but on-call architectural service, but they were not supposed to provide any numbers as to what
This is
there
just
would be
for
the cost.
qualifications. This is
Okay,
just the
got you.
referral for qualifications.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
It's a good question.
Chairman and members of the council, the next item of business is J3. This is RFP 979. This one does have prices on
Yes,
it.
it does.
You asked for it. We have the 979. This is Fox Hill Avenue Drainage Improvement Projects. Bid opening was today at noon. We received 3 bids. The first bid was from Narragansett Improvement Company in the amount of $751,460. The second one was from New England Building and Bridge for $605,280. And the third one was from Carty Corporation, $717,076.
Motion to refer to the town administrator to act in the best interest of the town.
Second, Mary.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Mary to refer. Diane, just take a moment. This is a big dollar.
Yeah.
That Fox Hill Avenue drainage. Could you give this council and the public just a quick overview on this?
Sure. This is an area of town it's in the Tanyard Brook neighborhood, and it's an area that has no, there are no drainage. There's no drainage infrastructure currently there. So this is new infrastructure to address the existing flooding problems that occur in that neighborhood. And this is part of the, I believe this is part of the COVID American Rescue Fund's that we were using for this project.
Excellent. Okay. That was much better. Tony?
Oh, just briefly, I'm so glad to see this here. This is something that, I don't know how many years, people have been knocking my door. I can't visit my daughter without having a couple of them visit with me, as to when something's going to get done in the area. So this is, hopefully will be a great relief.
Agreed.
Tony, I'm so glad you mentioned that because I've also had a lot of residents always mentioning this project and when the drainage project would actually happen. So well said.
Unlooked for waterfront property, right? Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item of business is J4, and this is RFP 980. This is the professional auditing service. Bid opening was today at noon. We received 2 bids for that. We have one from Markham Accountants Advisors. And so this was tiered into fiscal year 22, 23, and 24. 2022 was 45,000, 2023 was 46,000, and 2024 was 47,000. The second bid was from Haig, Shahadi and Company CPAs PC, also broken down in 2022 as 25,000, 2023 25,000, and 2024 also 25,000.
Make a motion to refer this to the town administrator to act in the best interest of the town.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Mary to refer to the administrator. Is there any discussion?
Just briefly, dealing with 2 communities and dealing with auditors, it's interesting. I thought we were going through inflation, but this is really good numbers right here, what I'm seeing, especially for the folks who have served us.
Already.
They can
Currently
keep,
serving.
right, they provide and those are great numbers.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item of business is K1. This is Alan Klepper from the Barrington Director, Bristol County Water Authority. This is the monthly report from March 2022.
Motion to receive and file.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to receive and file. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
And then now I believe we would pull DD2 and
Yes.
DD4.
Yes. So we'll start with DD2.
DD2, Mr. Chairman, this was very nice to attend the 100th birthday of William Willie Vargas. It was well attended. They had a team, which was back to the 50s. So it was quite interesting. I was a little bit out of character at the party, but I didn't stay too long. But it was very interesting. But the main point I want to focus, besides him being one of our residents, is that he served our fire department, our volunteer fire department, for 75 years. Well, has served, didn't serve, has served. And we're looking forward for him to continue at least another 25 years, Chief. But
what are
he
you
was-
serving over there, Chief? You get the fountain of youth over there, right? Keep it-
But it was very interesting, and he was very appreciative that I was representing the town, in wishing, give him the best wishes, and hoping that he lasts another 25. The other gentleman was August Pessoa, and he's a reporter for the Portuguese Times out of New Bedford. However, you see the newspaper in many of the establishments here in town, and it's not just in Portuguese, it's actually in English as well, that it covers and expands the culture, the Portuguese culture, through the English language. And he's been at it for, actually, it says over 4 decades, precisely 44 years he's been, and he's done an outstanding job. He was very humble about also receiving a citation from the town of Bristol.
Excellent. I'm glad you could attend this. We just need a motion to receive and file, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mary, seconded by Tim to receive and file. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? My colleagues are ready to go, so am I. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Chairman.
Second.
I'm sorry.
Was she
Are you
waiting?
here for
Did she?
something?
Were you waiting to speak?
Nope, just wanted to let you know I was still here and hadn't fallen asleep.
We had a motion from Tim. Is there a second to
A
adjourn?
second.
Motion made, seconded by Tony. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, everyone. Good evening.
Yes, good evening. Yes, good night.
Yeah, yeah,
Did she want to speak?
Are we getting?
Oh. She was? I don't know. No, that's true. Right.